California taxpayers are on the hook for former Vice President Kamala Harris's personal security as she travels the country for a book tour.
Political director Ashley Zavala is the first to report this story. She's here now in the studio with what we've learned so far.
Golston and Andrea, multiple sources tell me California taxpayers have been and continue to pay for the former vice president's security detail. Dozens of California Highway Patrol officers have been traveling with her in and out of the state and in some cases the country for her book tour. Everyone we spoke to for this story acknowledged the intense political moment we're in right now and the threats facing her and people in both political parties. But we're asking the question, don't taxpayers deserve to know how their money is being used? With several stops left on her nationwide book tour, Vice President Kamala Harris continues to use California Highway Patrol officers as her personal security. Multiple sources unauthorized to speak publicly about security matters told KCRA3 she has dozens of officers that have been traveling with her for nearly 6 months and counting. The long list of stops have included cities across the country, plus London and Ontario. The tour continues through California this month before stops in South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia. She's promoting her book, 107 Days, a memoir about her brief campaign for president after Joe Biden dropped out of the 2024 race. Governor Gavin Newsom's office, which ultimately approved the protection, said it does not comment on security arrangements. State officials won't provide specifics or say how much it's costing. Sources tell us there are still credible threats against her.
Do you have a sense of how much this could be costing taxpayers?
All I know is it's a lot. It is a significant amount of money.
Retired California Highway Patrol officer and Republican Assemblyman Tom Lackey said state law allows for her protection because she served as California's Attorney General.
We're living in kind of an unstable environment right now. And so it's really hard to predict circumstances and people's behavior. And so she deserves that kind of protection. But where the slippery slope starts to show up is the personal gain aspect. Right? When someone's making an opportunity to make money, should they be provided that same protection at taxpayer expense?
The public obviously is entitled to know what the cost of that CHP personnel is.
Adjunct McGeorge School of Law professor and longtime California lobbyist Chris McCaley said former state elected officials don't typically get this kind of protection, including former governors.
I think folks have to examine the precedent being set, but when it comes to is it the right thing to do, yes, but how much it is costing taxpayers, that they should know.
I reached out to the former vice president for comment and more information on all of this. Again, sensitive to the security situation, but I asked her spokesperson about the costs associated with all of the travel for those dozens of officers and if she's reimbursing the state for any of these expenses with the money she's making on that book tour. We are still waiting for a response. We would also be remiss if we didn't mention that California has been grappling with back-to-back budget shortfalls, and every penny should be accounted for.
You think that number should be made available for everyone. So where's the federal government on this right now? Excuse me. And does any of this have to do with President Trump revoking her security privileges?
Sure. And it depends on who you ask about this. Former vice presidents under law typically get 6 months of federal protection once they're out of office. Before leaving office, President Joe Biden quietly extended Harris's protection to July of 2026. A source in the Trump administration told us instead they allowed an extra 3 months for Vice President Kamala Harris before cutting that off in September.
I mean, we know that also, security for lawmakers and people, high-profile people in the state has also been a really big topic as well here.
Right. This is a topic of discussion, one that might be opened up because of this, but we'll see.
All right. Ashley, thank you so much.